Hi guys, I welcome you all to day 43 of our anthropology lecture series. So yesterday we have completed already economic anthropology, and I request you all to please watch that videos, and not only those videos, you must watch every video in the sequence, because then it will be very easy for you to make the links. And moreover, I am actually making links in between the chapters, so आपकी revision हो जाएगी, and many of the things in this chapter I've already completed in economic anthropology, so that is why it is also important for you to understand it. So please go watch those lectures and come back to it. So let's get started. We are today studying political anthropology, right? As we know that in anthropology we study humans in totality in terms of time and space. So we have already studied about their kinship, marriage, family, economy. Now we are heading towards political structures of them, right? So let's start. So first of all, we should see that what is political organization, or what is political authority all about. So it is basically we are studying the power, authority and leadership, right? So who has the power, who exercises the authority, and who has the leadership. So this is what political authority is all about, or political organization is all about, right? So this is what we are going to read. So political anthropology as a sub-discipline emerged in around 1940s with Evans Pritchard and Fortes in their work African Political System, right? So basically now how to study them, and how have they what kind of political structures do they follow, and this eventually came out as a sub-discipline later when Evans Pritchard and Fortes studied about that. And later new evolutionists like Elman Service and Morton Freed, they also studied about that and did multiple additions to it, and it became the subject that it is in the present form, right? So this was the introduction. Now let us try and define what political anthropology is about, right? First let's take John Beatty definition. So he says political anthropology is in which political organization is seen as maintenance of orderly social relations within defined territory or between different social groups. So now what does this mean? Let's break up the definition and try and understand. So it is saying it's a political organization, okay, political organization for maintenance of orderly social relations. So just try and understand this. We have already talked about in the later chapter, in the chapters that we have done, that there was anarchy, and then total people were like there was a state of anarchy, and then they made a mutual social contract to be in harmony, to live in peace, because my freedom could be a nightmare for you. How? Like, if I go and kill somebody because I have ultimate freedom, that is not a freedom for the other person, right? Because that person got died, right? So absolute freedom nahi ho sakta na, there has to be certain reasonable restrictions. So those reasonable restrictions, what are those? Those make the society to run in an orderly way, ताकि मेरी freedom आपका torture ना बन जाए, right? So there are two kind of situations. Let us take that these are 5-6 people, right? And then there are these 6 people here who live in this area. So now what they do now, they say that we come into a social contract that any person who will live in this piece of land or this territory, this defined territory, would follow the social contract that we have made. So पहले तो ऐसे कुछ बात होगी, right? And these kind of people say, now let us 6 people come into a social contract and follow a orderly social relation, right? So this is what it is. It has a very deep meaning, because this definition could encompass both stateless as well as state societies. Now how? Because what are the components of a state society? Which has a defined territory, a very legitimate authority, very structured leadership, right? So all of these are the components of state. So they have defined territory. That means it also encompasses the definition of a state society. That means maintenance of orderly social relation. That means we will come into a social contract, live in harmony with each other with certain rules and restrictions within a defined territory or between different social groups. Now tribals or simple primitive societies so do not have any land, any property, any defined territory, right? Because they do not believe in that, so they keep on moving, or they do not have these kind of defined territory, right? So it could be different social groups also. That means it encompasses the stateless societies also. So I hope you have understood the definition of John Beatty. And now let us just remove this because we'll do the second one also. So second is given by Swartz. He basically says that it studies the processes involved in determining and implementing public goals and differential achievement and use of power by members of the group concerned with these goals. Now you just need to understand, I will make you understand, don't worry. Processes involved in determining and implementing public goals. Now what are public goals? For example, if I talk about our preamble, so what it says that we will follow secularism, we will have equality for all the citizens, equality of opportunities, etc. Then we will follow fraternity, then there will be unity and integrity of individuals, dignity for individuals. So all of this is what the shared goals or the public goals that we have set for ourselves, that this is what we want our society to look like, right? So these are the public goals. Now it is saying determining and implementing public goals. Now determine to kar liya ki this is what we want, right? We have determined what we want. Now how to implement it, right? Implement kaise hoga? Like we will have this structure of a representative democracy where, you know, India is a country of 140 crore people. So it is not easy or feasible for everybody to exercise direct democracy, right? So we have a representative kind of democracy. So this is how we are going to implement our public goals, and then from that comes the differential achievement and use of power. Differential achievement and use of power to hai na, because not everybody is exercising power, right? For example, we are having a prime ministerial kind of a democracy jahan प्राइम मिनिस्टर का बहुत रोल है, एंड यू कैन से डी फैक्टो हेड है, डी जोर हेड है, राइट? सो देर इज डिफरेंशियल अचीवमेंट एंड यूज ऑफ पावर, ठीक है, बाय द मेंबर्स ऑफ द ग्रुप कंसर्न्ड विद दीज गोल्स, विच दीज गोल्स, राइट? सो दिस इज हाउ they have tried to explain the political anthropology. Now I have taken a very Indian democracy का view. You can take a tribal view also. उनके भी तो कुछ you know, they could also have some goals ना, like we want to live this way. उनका अभी what in the further slides we are going to read is all about their perspective only, right? So just to understand the definition, I took this example. So now let's move forward. So what would be the scope of our political anthropology chapter would be how the political systems have evolved, right? From being less complex to being modern, very complex systems, right? Then contemporary changes. Contemporary changes क्या, how the political systems are they are evolving, right? It's not like this is the ultimate thing, right? Like पहले से evolve होता हुआ यहाँ पहुँचा तो आगे भी तो evolve होगा, that we are going to read with the changes of globalization, westernization, like that. Then different types of political structures that we have, and basically you can add one more, our subject matter, that we are going to study the modern societies also, but our major focus is simple societies and how they organize themselves politically, right? So studies about them and their types and their types of political structures. So this is the scope, right? So before looking at this picture, let's try and make this picture ourselves so that thoda understanding, and we will try to understand each and every word out of it, right? So we have to reach ultimately to that picture. So हम पढ़ने वाले हैं what are the types of political organizations around. So if we have to divide it or classify it, we can say that there are either state societies or either stateless societies, right? So now I've already told you what are the components of state, that there'll be some defined territory, there'll be definite or legitimized authority, and organized political structure. So simple societies or stateless societies do not have this kind of a superstructure that we are talking about, right? So either we could classify like that, or we can say we can classify it as non-acephalous and acephalous societies. Now basically what is acephalous and non-acephalous is head or headless societies. So obviously in headless societies are stateless societies, that means there is no central authority governing. But in non-acephalous or state societies, obviously either there are a few people or there are one person who is going to govern the society, है ना? तो monarchy में there will be one person, and then you can have oligarchy or the modern kind of states, right? Or we can classify it as centralized or multicentric societies, right? Or decentralized societies, you can say, right? कुछ भी बोलो. So obviously centralized society कैसे, like हम बात करें monarchy, then centralized, or we are talking about prime ministerial, presidential again, or maybe a Purana dynasty, kings, rajas, right? So that is also centralized. Power is concentrated with certain people. But multicentric or decentralized क्या हो गया? Power is diffused, right? So this is how we can broadly classify. And if I have to name it कि इसमें कौन सी आएंगी, then band, very basic kind of a political structure, and tribes, they are largely called stateless societies. And then इसमें आप लगा लो there will be chiefdoms, right? जो जैसे महाजनपद and all, वो example हो सकता है. Then archaic state, monarchies and all of that. Monarchy even today exists. It's not that is only archaic state, but थोड़ा सा feudalistic states हो सकते हैं, कुछ भी हो सकता है. And then आपकी modern states, right? So this is our basic. आज का topic is band, and from tomorrow we will cover tribes, chiefdom, modern states and all. So now let's get back to the picture and have a look at it. So now this also says कि हम political system को divide करें based on centralized and egalitarian, or you can say uncentralized. And then the four major classifications: bands, tribes, chiefdom and states. So now these all the sub classifications we are वैसे भी we are going to cover it in, जैसे band पढ़ेंगे तो उसके under के पढ़ लेंगे, tribes के under पढ़ लेंगे. So you need not to look at this part right now, but यहाँ तक I hope you have understood all the things, right? So today's topic is band. So let's start. So अब now band we have already covered. You will see when I'll teach you the thing, you will understand that we have already covered it in the last lecture. ठीक है? So basically band क्या है? बहुत ही basic, very basic kind of a political structure in hunting gathering societies. So whatever the characteristics and features we have studied about hunting gathering societies, same are going to apply here also. For example, very small groups, yes, hunting gathering करते हैं तो they have to be mobile, they have to be nomadic because they keep on moving. उनको जब जहाँ पे resources मिलेंगे to survive themselves, they will keep on moving. Because they have to move, then they are people of very, like, they are only 6 to 8 families, around 30 to 50 people you can say. So they are small groups, right? Then of course they are small groups, they have to keep on moving, तो ज़्यादा possessions नहीं हो सकते. So whatever little things that they have is like bow and arrow, again to hunt and all, baskets for gathering, knife for skinning and animals की. Then often no clothing, ठीक है? So इतने basic tribes हैं, right? So again now their priority is hunting करना है, keep on moving करना है. So I don't think उनके लिए political ऑर्गेनाइजेशन कुछ इम्पोर्टेंस है, ऑफ कोर्स इट इज़ नॉट इम्पॉर्टेंट फॉर देम ना, उनको दे हैव टू कीप ऑन मूविंग, देयर needs are very basic, their priorities are very basic, so they are egalitarian societies. That means every person has a say, there is no established office for leadership, there is no leadership only na, because unke what are their necessities, food, right? So they'll keep on moving, to aise political leadership kya karenge, right? So then today not many societies live like this, theek hai? If because because today there is so much of globalization, there is so much of contact, they are not able to live in isolation. So then today not many societies, but if you have to take certain examples, you can say Inuits of Alaska, African Bushmen, Eskimos. In India there are Chenchus, Kadars, Irulas, right? So these are certain examples. Now let's talk about their political structure. Basically we have studied in the kinship chapter also. For these basic hunting gathering societies, देखो इधर से ही सब समझ आ जाएगा, kinship is very very important, or we can say for every tribal society, simple society, kinship is the basis of all organization, be it economic, political, everything, right? So when kinship is so important, and so obviously political leadership and kinship leadership will often merge, right? For example, in kinship, the elders are people who matter a lot, so they will be the people who will be taking the political decisions also many a times. It's not like they will always take the decision, but many a times and by and large, right? So elders are very important, kinship is very important, and politics and kinship is often equated, right? Because badi basic si needs hai. And it's not like that they can never have a leader, they can have a leader, it's not like that they will never have a leader, because it's very situational or circumstantial leadership. For example, a person has a good skill of hunting, so he can strategize well, and all of that is there. So at the time of hunting he'll automatically be the leader, but as soon as the hunting is finished, his leadership will also finish, right? So it's very basic, and he is not going to exert any authority over the group. He is just a friend, philosopher, guide, who is as simple and as equal as the other people in the group. So only situational leadership, no full-time office, right? Then we have already studied that the territorial concept is missing, obviously, because पहली बात तो वो nomads हैं, that means they are not going to stay at one place only for a long time. So the concept of territory doesn't come in only, right? And we need to understand basically why do we need a political authority, right? For example, today we talk that political authority or political rules and regulations, it even in the modern societies differ from society to society. For example, today America has come with a very very regressive, US Supreme Court has come with a very very regressive guideline, right, of regarding abortion, but India shows a very progressive legislation for that, right? Similarly today, cyber crime, cyber security is a issue that countries are legislating upon, but these are not the needs of the simple societies, right? So they will not make any laws regarding that, they will only have rules and regulations of what matters to them, right? So the way to maintain the society in an orderly way is different from them, for them, than us, and you cannot judge it based on modern rationality. That means, for example, they will often the way to punish somebody if anything is done which is not in correspondence to their rules and regulations and customs, is that they will have certain fist fighting, right? Or they will they will cry, they'll be publicly loud crying for the aggravated party, right? Or they, if anything very serious happens, then they may ostracize a person from the group, right? But generally they do not have very big problems. Ostracize और ये सब problems ज़्यादा tribe में आएंगी because they are a lot bigger than a band kind of situation, right? But then sometimes it's like an eye for an eye, so they will kill also, they can kill also somebody for punishment, right? Because अब इसको आप एक बहुत ही rational point of view से मत देखो कि मार देते हैं, it's not like it's a bad thing, right? It's just that they think that way, they behave that way, right? So it is that आप इसको modern perspective से judge नहीं कर सकते. So for them, political organization or political system runs around the customs and rituals, and they are their guiding principles, right? So band में ज़्यादातर there are no conflicts because they are already as such only 30 to 50 people, and these many, so they require to be together because obviously then they have to improve their survivability. So इससे छोटा group होगा तो then they will again be tough for their existence, right? So for that they do not fight among themselves, and if ever there is some fight, they will sing songs, they will publicly abuse or cry for the grieved party, right? So this was all about the band. I could have started the tribe itself, but then tribe topic is a little longer than this, so I thought that I'll cover it in much more detail tomorrow. So I hope you guys liked the lecture. If you did, so please guys like, share and subscribe, and thank you.